Channels that specialize in preschool age targeted programming have been a staple in, let's face it, just about all of our childhoods for multiple decades at this point. Probably at the top of the totem pole would be Nick Jr. and PBS Kids. Both stations have been putting out popular and honestly groundbreaking educational television shows aimed towards kids for a long time now. And because of that, every other channel wanted to start cashing in. So we got Playhouse Disney, Sprout, and even Cartoon Network at this point has made multiple attempts to build a pre-K audience, their most recent attempt being shut down not too long ago. But one preschool programming block that almost never gets brought up anymore, and I mean that truly, is the TLC/Discovery Kids block that ran from the early 90s to late 2000s, Ready, Set, Learn. This block was made directly to compete with PBS's lineup of similar styled shows like Sesame Street, Mr. Rogers, and Reading Rainbow. Beginning in 92, the block would go through a couple different changes in terms of where it would air and how it looked overall. Its main focus was to air hours of both original and important educational programming, plus music videos geared towards kids that were on the verge of starting school, which just made me feel a little bad inside because I was totally watching this after I started school, not gonna lie. But whatever, we move. I've been wanting to make a video on this for a while, not gonna lie, and I've been getting a little scared lately because some of my fellow YouTubers have gone a little bit too close to talking about this, you know what I mean? Had to make sure I was the one to pop this one out first. But yeah, my name is Mr. Nostalgia, and today we will be talking about what I think is one of the more underrated preschool blocks out there, Ready, Set, Learn.
Ready, set, play! Ready, set, dance! Ready, set, hop! Ready, set, fly! Ready, set, learn!
Ready, Set, Learn. Every weekday morning on TLC and the Discovery Kids channel.
The year is 1990. Wait, no, hold on. What are some 1990 rap songs I can use as background music to set the mood right? Oh yeah, this is the one. Like I was saying, the year is 1990 and a bunch of nerds over at Discovery were inspired by a report that stated 35% of US children began their education unprepared. Additionally, Discovery Communications Senior Vice President Greg Moyer, which could be any or none of these dudes honestly, stated that as an industry, television has been a little lax when it comes to introducing new preschool programming. Many of the venerable preschool shows on PBS are 20 years old, most notably Sesame Street and Mr. Rogers. This is kind of true, but also kind of dismissive of Nickelodeon, who had established the Nick Jr. name a few years prior, especially with shows like Pinwheel and Eureka's Castle. But also I wasn't around for this, so maybe those shows were trash, I don't know. What's funny is this Greg dude was so confident in this project that he thought eventually it would spin off into its own 24/7 channel. Something that really wasn't very common back then, but is super common now. I guess bro was ahead of his time. Though, obviously, Ready, Set, Learn did not expand into anything more than a programming block. As for the actual type of content supposed to be aired on this block, they tried to select shows based on the strengths of their educational value and just how pretty they look visually. Ready, Set, Learn will go on to make its debut in December 1992 on the network TLC. Which, can we just talk about for a second? How many of y'all grew up watching TLC with your parents? Cause I ain't gonna lie, I definitely used to throw down on Say Yes to the Dress back in the 2000s, man. But dude, my absolute favorite TLC show was John and Kate Plus 8. What do y'all know about John and Kate Plus 8? That show used to go hard, my guy. They had so many kids, bruh. Nick Cannon must have loved this show. But hey, y'all remember when they changed the title though, don't you? Yeah, after a while, it was just Kate Plus 8. John had Up and Left the Family. Now that was crazy. TLC, the Learning Channel. Oh, I learned something, all right. The early days of Ready, Set, Learn was hosted by a woman named Rory Zuckerman, who also had her own series around this time called Rory and Me. Rory definitely fits the mold of just a really kind-hearted and warm, child-friendly person that you just need for something like this. One of the most immediate examples of this that comes to mind is that lady from Sprout that was chilling with that ugly looking star creature. She just had this amazing calm nature about her that still makes me feel a certain way.
Grown-ups with children, we also call them moms and dads. Did you guess parents too?
Yes.
Good job.
Thank you. This job isn't for everyone, and from what I could tell, Rory did a pretty good job. Like most hosts of stuff like this, she mainly did a lot of singing, which was both for educational value and just being stimulating enough to capture the minds of children. She was Miss Rachel before Miss Rachel, basically. Put some respect on Rory's name for real. The channel during this time would air a lot of music videos though, even ones not made by Rory. They had a roughly 5-show rotation featuring a bunch of stuff you probably haven't heard of, like Book Mice, Kitty Cats, The Magic Box, Join In, and Zoobly Zoo. You know how people say stuff like, today's kids will never know what this show is, and it's like Cat Dog, a show that is pretty easily available in full on mad different streaming services? No, these shows you really had to be here for because they still haven't received official releases anywhere. And probably for the best because some of these are incredibly scary and will likely be showing up in my dreams later today. These shows aired on a 3-hour schedule that was aired twice in a row on weekdays, starting at 6 a.m. and then repeating at 9. A practice that would stay with Ready, Set, Learn for most of its run. Despite consistently airing nearly every day for almost a decade, Discovery, which is what TLC was owned by at the time, was starting to worry about the state of the block. Plus, with it being 10 years since its launch, the channel was starting to look pretty outdated. So, like what happens with a lot of children-themed programming blocks or channels, they decided to give it a revamp. And, unlike other revamps of similar fashion, this one might have just been what the block desperately needed.
Ready, set, run. Won't you come? Ready, set, play. It's a great, great day. Ready, set, dance. Here's your chance. Ready, set, race. Ready, set, learn. Ready, set, you. Ready, set, learn. Ready, set, me. I pass.
This had me turn up as a kid, bruh. As soon as it started playing on my TV, I got it from my seat, started crip walking and throwing up gang signs and stuff, had me all loud and hype. My mom would tell me from the other room to quiet down, and you know what I did? I told her to shut up. Nah, I'm playing, let me chill. I never said that. You have no idea how much this era of Ready, Set, Learn meant to me as a youngin' though. I watched this era so religiously that to this day, I have the schedule implanted in my head, but we'll get there a little later. In 2003, Ready, Set, Learn had completely rebranded into something new, getting rid of the GOAT, Rory Zuckerman, and replacing her with another GOAT, Paz the Penguin. This is where things get interesting though. So Paz wasn't just the host of Ready, Set, Learn. He was also the main character of The Paz Show, a show that aired technically during Ready, Set, Learn. But what's interesting is that, at least here in America, we never actually saw it referred to as The Paz Show. The intro to each episode was just titled Ready, Set, Learn. I don't think I ever really questioned it as a kid. I mean, I had like no reason to, but as time has gone on, I actually have been giving it thought. So now that I'm doing this video, I thought now would be the time to finally get to the bottom of this. And I did.
Come on and play. It's a great, great day. Come on and dance. Here's your chance. Come on, let's run. Let's have some fun with you and me. I pass.
So first of all, when I first saw this, my mind was blown. Not that it was some shocking revelation or anything. It's just weird knowing something as one way for years on years, only to see a completely different version of it. But to explain this, The Paz Show was an animated series produced by a British studio, King Rollo Films, Danish studio, Egmont Imagination, Telescreen BV, and of course Discovery Kids. The series was actually loosely based on a series of books made by Mary Murphy. When the show aired internationally, there was no Ready, Set, Learn. It just aired as The Paz Show. But then, now this is where things get crazy. Not really, but when it aired in America, they took each episode of the series and sandwiched it in between 2 live-action puppeteered segments that were related to the plot of the animated portion. In the beginning of each episode, after the Ready, Set, Learn intro, it would transition to the puppet segments where Paz would be chilling with his mom or whatever, no dad in the picture seems very sad, and then one of them would mention something that was purposefully put in the script to lead into the actual episode. Then it would transition out and eventually end with a nice little tag. Now, Ready, Set, Learn throughout its entire run was commercial free, and so instead of playing commercials, they would just air an episode of The Paz Show in between each show to fill in that void, which is why they added in all of the Ready, Set, Learn branding, so it all felt connected. Every episode was mainly focused on Paz learning something new, as he was a very curious penguin. I know I joked earlier, but although his dad wasn't in the picture, his grandfather was, and every now and then, he'd be the one responsible for teaching Paz a lesson or two. He also has a few friends that tag along on his adventures: Pig, Rabbit, and Dog. Nice, very clever names. There is one oddly cute detail in this show that you don't see often in preschool cartoons. There's an episode where Paz's mom has to go on a business trip, naturally without Paz. So while Paz is given a picture of his mom to remember her when she's away, Paz's mom remembers she has a locket with Paz's picture in it and promises to always wear it, so he's always with her. And like throughout the rest of the show, from that point on, she does actually wear the locket, which is like super cool to keep that continuity going, but also so unnecessary because this show is for a bunch of babies and none of them would have picked up on that. Why am I crying? Aside from that though, there's not really anything special about this show. It's fine. Nothing stands out about it. Paz himself only really sticks out because of the fact that he was the entire mascot of Ready, Set, Learn. Speaking of which, after an episode of the Paz show would wrap up, we would see Paz again, only this time to introduce the next show airing. After that, the show would air, then we get another Paz show episode, and the cycle repeats until the end of the block. Like I said though, this was just one of the shows that would air on the block during this era. Actually, there were many, and I'm confident that hearing their names will bring several of them back to you. One show that needs little introduction is The Magic School Bus, a show that's aired on a few different networks and eventually found its way to Discovery Kids/TLC. There was also the British series Brum. Look at that, they gave my guy from Baba Builder his own show. The Save-Ums was one of the shows that aired on the block that also was part of the DVD releases that they would do. And I actually decided to buy one of those DVDs so I could really dive fully into the Ready, Set, Learn experience. I personally had no memory of this prior to me watching the couple of episodes on the DVD, and while most of it was still unfamiliar to me, I did recognize a few of the characters, most notably Jazzy. Some of these designs are just awful though. Like, bro, what is this? This dude like the egg sack from that one episode of SpongeBob. Arguably the most recognizable thing about this show is its plot, but only because it's really similar to what the Wonder Pets would end up doing later on with the whole saving people in need thing. I think out of all the shows on the DVD, the show that impressed me the most though was Todd World. I thought the episode I saw was really charming and it felt a little less cookie cutter than the other preschool shows I've seen. I was honestly disappointed that there was only one episode on the DVD. Y'all gave me 2 Save-Ums, but 1 Todd World? Nasty work. The characters in Todd World genuinely felt like real cartoon characters, if that makes sense, instead of just your standard talk to the camera protagonist. While the theme of the episode I saw wasn't anything different from stuff you've likely seen in other shows of its kind, how the characters were written to handle it, I felt was slightly more mature than the previously mentioned Save-Ums, and honestly even Wonder Pets. It feels more like Arthur than Blue's Clues, if that makes sense. And the world surrounding it was really unique as well. Timothy Goes to School, I didn't watch, not gonna lie. At some point I fell asleep while watching the DVD. It is made by the same creator of Max and Ruby though, and you can kind of tell. I'm assuming this dude goes to school though, I don't know. Stepping away from the DVD shows for a bit, there was Animal Jam, no, not that Animal Jam. Wilbur, a show that I thought I had zero memory of until I watched the intro, which, by the way, is a whole minute long, which would be fine if it slapped, like the Arthur theme song. But this Wilbur intro is a snooze fest. The lyrics be talking about, it's time to read a book. Nah, it's time for me to go to sleep. Like, there was also Balamori, a show I, for real, have no memory of ever airing on this block. How many episodes does this get? This show probably had like 6.5 hours or something.
Oh my goodness!
Now, wait, hold on. I'm not tripping though, because I did some research and this show was barely on the schedule for real. I couldn't even find a bumper for it online. The show got no playing time. Tatum during the Olympics. I promise that's a good joke. You just gotta know what I'm talking about. And then there was a Bigfoot Presents Meteor and the Mighty Monster Trucks. I would watch this as a kid actually, but only because it aired immediately after one of my favorite shows on the block. And that's when I knew it was getting ready to be that time to switch to a different channel. But now it's time to talk about some of my favorite shows from this block though. Shows that I was always sat for as a jit. First of all, Peep in the Big Wide World, right? Interesting enough, this is one of the few shows that I still see talked about from this block. For whatever reason, it's actually stuck around in conversations. Perhaps it's because of its absolute banger theme song that I can't play because of copyright. Y'all can look it up though. 3 birds, Quack, Chirp, and well, Peep of course. Each episode of the series would generally open up with Joan Cusack, the show's narrator, who would lay down for us what the vibe is, you know what I mean?
It was another cold, gray, wintry day. The sky was gray. The water was gray.
It's literally blue, but pop off. Not to sound cliche or anything, but generally the episodes really were just about the three characters kind of just learning about the world around them and how it works. Most of the times these things were science-based though, like nature and whatnot. And at the end of the episode, we get a live action segment regarding the lesson learned in the episode featuring a cast of kids, which oddly enough is something that I have absolutely no memory of when it comes to the show. I gotta say though, after rewatching a few episodes, this might be my favorite part of the show, just because of how nostalgic they feel to me. The stuff they would do really reminded me of stuff I do in school when I was around this age. And I don't know, just seeing them use their imagination and stuff like that, man, it was great. But it would also teach kids a lot about animals thanks to its wide variety of side characters. There's one episode where Quack goes around the big wide world, as they call it, noticing all the special abilities that certain animals have, especially to defend themselves. You obviously know what they're trying to do, but it's definitely less in your face than other kids shows when it comes to teaching kids the lesson. Like I said, I watched some episodes for this video, and yeah, it's a cute little show, man. Side note, for whatever reason, the website is still up, and not only that, but there are still games available on the App Store that are based on the show, which is nuts. Another one of my favorites was High Five, an American version of an Australian kids TV show. Each episode had one specific topic that they would teach the audience of children in a variety of ways, a lot of which contained music. This was another show that was part of the DVD that I watched, and yeah, this show was just about how I remembered it. The only nostalgia blast from the past I got was the use of puppetry in this show. More specifically, this one that would show up in the wordplay segments named Chatterbox. Seeing this actually took me by surprise because I was immediately able to recognize it. I'm like pretty sure my favorite cast member of the show back then was Carla Mosley, and I still think she's cool, but her eyes would open so wide sometimes. It was just a little unsettling. Now watch, this is going to be the one time where someone from the show is actually watching this video and I'm going to get in trouble. But like, you see this, right? I'm not losing my mind. Man, whatever. Now, my absolute favorite show on Ready, Set, Learn, hands down, without a doubt, was the one and only Hip Hop Harry.
I'm Hip Hop Harry. We're about to enter another adventure at the Hip Hop Center.
Oh, what y'all know about this? Okay, I've been wanting to say this for a long time. Y'all remember when Hip Hop Harry became a meme out of nowhere years ago, and then everyone started hyping up Hip Hop Harry and pretended they were fans of it. He even crossed over with Berleezy, which is still crazy to me. Y'all don't rock with Hip Hop Harry the same way that I rock with Hip Hop Harry. That was one of my favorite shows back then, man. It's definitely top 5 for me when it comes to educational kids shows. He was like Barney, but cool. Hip Hop Harry was a show created in 2006. In each episode, the show would put kids in a predicament that would lead to Harry teaching them a lesson 9.5 times out of 10 using a rap song. Some of these were legit bangers too. Being in a band, slaps. When I Grow Up, slaps. Kaboom, slaps. Wash Up, Wash Down, bro, that song is so fire, he broke the fourth wall in it.
You know what's cool? What's really neat? We can sing this song with or without a beat. Wash up, wash down, wash all around.
Make sure your hands are clean.
Wash up, wash down, wash all around.
Make sure your hands are clean.
In the middle of every single episode, they would head to the library or whatever, and they'd sing the song called I Love to Learn. I remember distinctly filling in the word love with hate because, you know, I had to be the contrarian. But truthfully, this had me turn as a kid too. He was floating on this track, bro. Look, they're mosh pitting. And don't even get me started on the end of the episode where they do a dance circle. Yeah, that's where all those memes came from with all them kids dancing and whatnot. And hey man, some of these kids can actually dance. Except this dude, get him off my screen. And then of course, you know things got serious when Harry had to get on the action himself. Funny enough, this didn't happen in every episode. Sometimes he didn't go at all, and sometimes he actually went twice. I guess just depending on how exhausted the dude in the suit was. But no, going back to the whole me being a fan of the show thing, y'all have no idea. Like, I legit used to go to the Hip Hop Harry website and would just listen to the soundtrack. I need y'all to understand when I say that I was a Hip Hop Harry fan back in the day, I really mean it. Like, I was about that life. A few years ago, I even bought a Hip Hop Harry shirt, bro. Don't talk to me. Probably shouldn't wear that in public, but I still have it. What's funny about the 3 shows I just mentioned is that they all aired right after each other, like in a row. So after a while, I just memorized the schedule. I would start watching for Peep, stick around until Hip Hop Harry, and then turn the channel whenever that Bigfoot show came on. The fact that I still remember that schedule is crazy. I had that on lock. Overall though, Ready Set Learn had a really nice variety of shows for different educational purposes, which at the end of the day was the point of the block. What I think also really helped is that they were all really different on a visual standpoint, which helped set them all apart. I think its diverse lineup is what led to some people still remembering it to this day. Truthfully, the end of Ready Set Learn wasn't anything spectacular. There wasn't some insane story that led to its cancellation or some sort of conspiracy. I wish, because that would be fun, but no. Basically, for a while the block was airing on TLC and Discovery Kids. TLC eventually cut it in 2008 and moved it to Discovery Kids full time for another couple of years until, you guessed it, it got replaced by the Hub. By that time, even though I was still a very avid member of the Hip Hop Harry fan club, I didn't really care. I was too old for the block at that point. Plus, let's be real, at least to me, the Hub was infinitely better than Discovery Kids. It was like one of the only places that aired both Marvel and DC cartoons, plus it aired the Men in Black cartoon, which to this day has one of the greatest theme songs of all time. There actually was a preschool block on the Hub to take Ready Set Learn's place, and it was called Hubbub. And basically, none of the shows they used to air carried over to it. And yeah, that's it. Honestly, there's not much else to it. Ready Set Learn lasted a long time though, dude. Like, genuinely. And even though most of us only remember that 2000s.
Rejected by Anthony Davis. The stadium is shaking. The fans have never seen anything like this in their lives before.
And even though most of us only remember that 2000s era with my GOAT Paz the Penguin, it still had a really wide reach to multiple generations. I think this block, especially in the later years, aired some genuine bangers. Bangers that still kind of get talked about today. But the funny thing is, no one ever talks about what station they aired on. I've been on the nostalgia side of YouTube for, what, a decade now, or close to it. And in my conversation with people in the community, and then just watching the content as a fan and all of my years being here, I've never once seen anyone bring up Ready Set Learn. I just haven't. Nobody want to talk about my guy Paz. He was even omitted from the Shoopy Doopy Penguins video from a couple months ago, and I made my thoughts about his snub known. I'm just kidding, by the way, I love that video. And I think mainly it's just, for starters, it originated on TLC, which was not known for its children content, at least not like other channels. And two, when it eventually aired on Discovery Kids, although there was likely a much larger audience there, that channel was always just that other kid's channel, you know what I mean? It was never Cartoon Network, it was never Nick, it definitely wasn't Disney. It was always just that other one. And sure, there were good shows on it. I, for one, loved Grossology. I remember that game on the website where you had to like shoot stuff. Yeah, that was sick. Kenny the Shark went hard too. I'm just saying, realistically, it was never gonna get that big of an audience. But I watched it and I liked it. And judging by my community posts, some of you guys did too. And that's all that matters at the end of the day. Maybe this video is what YouTube needs to spark the Ready Set Learn discourse on the internet. Or this video was gonna flop tremendously, we'll see. Regardless though, let me know your thoughts on Ready Set Learn in the comments below. I had a lot of fun making this video, especially since I got to really talk about something that I found nostalgic. I'm trying to experiment with new stuff in this new season of content, so I figured I'd give this a whirl. Who knows, maybe I'll branch off into other stuff as well. Check out my Patreon if you want to see content earlier than everyone else. Also subscribe to my second channel, simply titled Stalgia. Trying to get that channel cracking for real, you know? If you're new, feel free to subscribe and hit that like button. And like always, I am Mr. Nostalgia, and I'm out for now. Peace.